Friday. Hope you've got better weather than me. It's been pouring down with rain all day. Had been dry for 3 or 4 days before, so I dare say the garden needs it. I could do with a little bit more sun though this year, but it doesn't seem like the gods are going to let me have that. Never mind. Happy Friday. Happy Business Friday. Happy Magic Friday too. Because I want to talk about something possibly controversial today. How surprising. But yes, I want to talk about reinventing the wheel. We get told lots of times, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why reinvent the wheel? And we take that on and we believe it. But is it always true? Are either of those platitudes that we get given a lot, those adages that we get used a lot with, are they actually always true? No, they're not. Hello, I seem to have a person. Hello, Nance. Happy Friday back from, excuse me, I need to put my glasses on, can't see you. This is too much. Hello, Steve. Hi. So, hope you're having a happy Friday. But we don't need to necessarily take on these platitudes that we get, like, don't reinvent the wheel. There are times when it's definitely not a good idea, when we actually need to continue with what we've got. Very small thing and worth thinking about is like our mobile phones, for instance. Now, every year, possibly even twice a year, depending on what company it is, they're going to bring out a new mobile phone that is the best thing since sliced cat food or whatever it is you're into. And it, does whizzes and bangs and bells and whistles and everything you could possibly think of. And we all get waved, shiny, shiny, come on, you want me, shiny. And I admit it's a temptation. I had it earlier this year with the Samsung, which was coming out with an apparently even better camera. And since I use my phone a lot for photographing, and also I'm starting to use it for making videos. Hello, I've got somebody else. Who am I saying hello to? It is Champion. Hello. Great. So, I got tempted by the phone. And I was there going, well, if I could, I wonder if I can afford that, if I had it like this and this many minutes and this many whatever else it was, then, it would only be like 40 quid a month. And could I actually afford that? And eventually I got myself another cup of coffee instead. And I sat back and I said, how much are you actually using the camera and the video on this phone compared with how often are you using Restream? How often are you using Authored Up? What is your CRM costing you? And so in that case, it was definitely not a moment to reinvent my phone wheel. I didn't need it. Yes, I wanted it, but heck, I'm a bit over 5 or even 7 or even 9. And, my wants, they really need to be a bit more grown up than that. So I didn't reinvent the wheel there. But I just mentioned a couple of things. Well, I have reinvented my wheel. This is my business wheel. I mentioned Restream. I mentioned Authored Up, for instance. And I'm just getting into a new CRM, Bloom, which is looking as though it's going to be much better for me than anything I've used so far. It's much more about visual learning, and I'm a visual learner. And it's simple, drag and drop and that kind of stuff. I can handle that. So there were cases where reinventing my business wheel was useful. Personally, I find Authored Up really helpful. Fair enough. if I'm finding Authored Up really, really helpful, and it's just gone to a place where you're on your free trial before you start paying for it, look at it again. So I did. Spent half a day looking at it, thinking, how much do I use this? What would happen if I didn't have it? How would I feel? And decided that, yeah, actually, I do want it. So, okay, that was where I reinvented my wheel completely. Because I didn't used to use Authored Up until about ago. And now I do. And now I'm finding it worth it. So this is large but small things in a way. They are important. And there are places where I have reinvented myself. I'm not doing things like I used to be. There are lots more. And I was talking with a client earlier this week, and she's been with me for about 6 weeks now. We're on a 12-week package, so she's about halfway through. And wow, she's amazing. She's absolutely stunning, and she's great to work with. And she's learning how to use magic in her business. And she's using it already, and it's really, really good. To start off with, this is no names and no pack drill, and I'm not telling you who it is, and I hope I don't give away any ideas of who it might be. But she started off with a lot of insecurity, a lot of fogginess, lack of clarity. Her confidence was sort of somewhere 3 feet under her boots. All the things that she doesn't like. She didn't have anything like imposter syndrome. She knows perfectly well, and she always has known perfectly well who she is and what she does. She values it. But her confidence in putting it out there and saying it was very low, just to put it mildly. And there were blocks between her and getting her stuff out there, which she didn't understand. And some of them were a bit spooky. She was feeling watched, and looking at things and speaking with her and looking at her with my sight. Yes, I am blind. I could see, yes, there were some problems there, which, like many of us, she thought she dealt with. Done that. I've got over it. I'm completely clear of that. So let's no, you ain't. Sorry, mate, you ain't. Oh, what? So we talked that through, and she understood what I was saying. So we then worked out how she was going to clear this old block. In a sense, it's like old baggage that she'd been carrying around, but it was also baggage that had been put on her quite definitely ages ago, long ago, many years ago. And she thought, as I said, that she dealt with it, but she hadn't. So I taught her, I'd already begun teaching her the basic connection exercise that we always use in the old ways, and how to expand that into let's call it a bubble, for want of a better word, that is a filter that can filter negative energy not to come in and positive energy to come in, and the other way, that it will hold positive energy for you, but you can push out negative energy. A little more about that in a moment. So she was getting the hang of that, and she was able to go back into the place where this baggage had been dumped on her and find a way to really cut the cords, if you want. That's a perfectly good way of putting it. To say, right, no, I'm not having that thread on me anymore. And there are magic ways we do that. Very simple, nothing weird. I haven't got to sort of slaughter any chickens and put their blood in a gram or anything like that. Definitely nothing to do with that. They're very simple ways, and they're about actually working with you and making you solid, making you able to choose and reject things. We know quite a lot about that, for instance, with your ideal client and attract and repel, but you attract and repel everything you know. Did you realize that? You do. So she was able to build her bubble in such a way that it attracted in the energy that she wanted and repelled the energy she didn't. And we went further, of course. 12 weeks, you've got plenty of time to do quite a lot. Yeah. So we went further because in the process, she found she had what we call a familiar spirit. And this was something she'd actually remembered and known about from childhood. And that happens so often with so many of my clients. In fact, I don't think, desperately trying to remember, I don't think I ever had a client who didn't go, you know, actually, I used to know that when I was a child. I had a friend who was that. I felt a spirit that was there with me. Often they're animals. Not always, but often they are. And she felt this come back. Now, if you want some real big time support for familiar spirits, Carl Jung, the psychologist, brilliant man, I did a lot of his training. He had his own familiar all his life, and he'd had it since his youth, real youth, teenage. Not sure it wasn't before. So, yeah, familiar spirits are not weird, you know. We've probably all got them. It's a case of noticing and recognizing. Anyway, my client discovered that this familiar spirit was still with her. And in a journey, because quite often use journeying in the coaching, which is like just sort of sit there now, go into your bubble and ask the spirit to come in there with you and have a chat, get to know each other. You want to talk about it like LinkedIn times? Well, it's sort of like, hey, let's have a virtual coffee chat. So you have a virtual coffee chat with your familiar spirit. Doesn't usually work out quite like that, but in fact it's a lot easier than usually organizing calls and getting on Zoom and all that kind of thing. It's a bit quicker. You can do it just like that. And she did. And she'd been with me 3 weeks then. So excuse me. So she talked with this familiar spirit, and the spirit helped her to get rid of this pressure, this energy that was really stopping her in big ways. It's like people would come as a client, for instance, in her business, and then something would happen and they would fall away. And it was like again. So it had gone way past the sort of like, oh, well, you know, that happened last year. It was, God, that happened last week, the week before, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, which starts making you think, hang on, something is wrong here. It was. So she cleared that. She actually chose some crystals to help her. So that's fine. We don't always use crystals, but sometimes we do. It depends on the client, what they want to do. And she's now set up her own way, very small at the moment, with the crystals, helping her with the familiar spirit and with another energy that she's met a couple of weeks ago, who now she feels that it's like the childhood thing that they talk about, the imaginary friend, except that it's got nothing to do with imagination. She felt this energy with her. And when you do feel it, you know in your bones intrinsically that it is not you and it's not your imagination. So don't go thinking that it isn't. You can do imagination stuff, yeah, But that's not magic, that's imagination. But this was real. It was coming. Oh, who are you? What's going on? Hello. Are we friends? What are we going to do? Can you help me? Answer, yes. So we actually, the next thing she did was like, what are you actually attracting? You know, are you attracting all and sundry or anybody? And she was also getting the thing where she'd get people who really wanted to work with her, but, you know, couldn't they possibly work with her for nothing? And that kind of level. In that sense, they weren't really committed because her prices aren't, you know, up in the sky. They're enough so that, you know, they're a good exchange for extremely good work she gives them. But, you know, they're not off. And most people could afford that. She also does some group work, which is even lower priced and available to more. But this is about clients, one-to-one clients that she could work with. So we talked about this, and she had an idea of who her ideal client would be. But we went into it right from the other end, which was really useful because it did involve the experience that she'd had with this energy who'd been baggaging her, you know, loading her down with their own rubbish. So we went into this and I said, well, what is it you know, with this energy, this person, what was it you really dislike? What was it that was really unpleasant? So we went through this thing and I said, okay, what else, when you get a client come, you know, you don't want them prevaricating, you don't want them like rewriting your course for you or rewriting what you do. And yeah, we all have clients like that. Any of that. Okay, so she did probably 2-column list thing, you know, what I want, what I don't want. And then what do I want? And that started to really bring up stuff that was really much clearer. It wasn't like, I can deal with your stress, you know, I can help you get over overwhelm, I can help you with your imposter syndrome. It wasn't any of that. It was much, much bigger. And it's come down to, you've got to have really powerful, big dreams if you want to work with me. Because that's what I can do. I can work with big dreams. I can help you make your big dreams come true. I really felt a lot of a kinship with her there because I feel the same. And the bigger your dream, the more fun it's going to be. And I'm not scared by your dreams. And she isn't scared by your dreams. So I said, push for that. You know, put it here that you really want this. And then we did another little journey. And she asked her familiar spirit to come and this new energy that she'd made friends with to come into her bubble. And she said, I know this is what I want. I want people with big dreams. I want people who are willing to work hard. And I don't want people who are just in it for the money. And I don't want people who are prevaricating all the time. And she got this sort of right feeling from the energies. So she said, how do I attract them? What do I do? And what is my next step? So came back to me. Many clients do this. They can actually, while they're doing the journey, and we always record it anyway, so everything they say is held. They can always get it back, and we can do a transcript and all that sort of thing. But talking to me is good too, because then I'm with them and included, which is nice. So she came back and I said, right, so what was your next step? So she told me, and it was a little bit big. It was on the lines of, you need to follow up on all the people who are starting to get warmed up to you. So I said, well, how many is that? A dozen or so, something like that. So I said, well, when are you thinking, you know, when do you think you've got the time to do a dozen warm-up people? it takes time, it takes the energy, it takes the focusing to build your post that is going to work for each person. You don't just have a single post, one size fits all that goes out to everybody. Yes, it's got those basic ideas in it, but you're going to fit it for each person. That's how you attract them, because you're talking to them, not any old person who vaguely fits. So, oh, yeah. So I thought, go back in your bubble, ask a familiar spirit, ask your energy friend, right, which ones shall I start with? Which ones should I go for first? And ask for no more than 3, because that's going to take you 1 or 2 days to get through, along with everything else. She does have clients already as well, so she's got nothing to do. So she went back in, and it was lovely watching, because I said, yeah, right, yeah, her, yeah, that'd be good, really, yeah, right, fine, yeah. I was watching this happen, and so she came back out again, and I said, have you got those 3 names? Yep. So I said, do you want to write them down? She said, yeah, I've got those 3, and then I've got the next 3 when I've done those. That's right, write them all down, because she hadn't actually said them out loud. And so she wrote them all down. I said, right. And you asked for them in order? Yes, I asked for them in order, so I know this one is number 1, that's number 2, that's number 3. Fine. Now, one of the things we'd done when she had been working with this negative energy was putting the name of the negative energy on a piece of paper and then putting it under a crystal who she had worked with that was going to actually keep that energy away from her. Let's put it simply as that. I said, what can you do then? How about if, with these first 3, you write their name on a piece of paper and ask your crystals, she's got about 6 now, I think, ask your crystals which ones want to feed energy, feed excitement, feed joy, and wow, I could do this, into each client. So, oh, right. Oh, it's the tourmaline. Yeah, it's the tourmaline. Tourmaline's very strong and powerful and feisty and fiery. So I wasn't really surprised. And so that's what she did, and put the names under each. And I said, no, when did they say you need to do your first call, first post, your first DM? And I said, oh, I said, back in the bubble. So back in the bubble she went, and along with the familiar spirit and the other energy. And she said, when's the timing for each of these? Timing is important, it really is. It's not just sort of, oh, when I've got a moment, or oh, when it comes up on the calendar. Timing, you don't realize where timing comes from. Timing comes from our planet and our star. And it's also involved with everything in the universe. So timing is not just a calendar on your wall or your clock going tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Timing, real timing, actually comes from your planet and your star, solar system, the universe. So she went back in and said, when? And she got an order. And one of them was for as soon as we'd finished that call. First one, she got to get on there and phone that evening, or that late afternoon, when we finished the call. Okay. She's done it. And she's got the first signing. The first one that she asked for has signed. She sold. She made a sale. The first sale. And she can feel that the other sales are coming. So I'm really looking forward to what she tells me next week. When she's done all of them, how many she has, because this was just the first one. It was thrilling. It's thrilling for me, and for her, she suddenly felt, she was saying things like, I don't have to do this on my own, do I? And I was going, no. It may sound woo-woo to a lot of people, but we live in a enormous universe with massive energies. And actually, they're all friendly to us, despite all the sort of horror programs you go, ferocious planet, it's going to get me, whatever, about volcanoes and floods and eruptions and things like that. Trying to scare you, trying to say it's me against the planet. No, life isn't confrontational. It doesn't have to be. And it certainly isn't in magic. The only people you might have to confront in magic are other people, not the energies, not the spirit world, not your familiars. They're all on your side. They've got your back, actually, as these energies have shown my client, because they have her back and she no longer feels watched. She feels safe. She feels secure. She said, I really feel so much clarity. I'm not confused. I've got a plan and I can work it. And I've got a place and people to go to, like otherworldly people, to go to say, not sure about the plan. Does it need adjusting? Do I do this? What's my next step? What's my next step? She's doing it. She's doing it. And so my other 3 clients, who are all on the same journey, all learning magic. It's just so magical to me. And it's so easy. And it doesn't require you sort of twisting yourself up into weird yoga positions, and you haven't got to only eat green tea before you do anything or after you do anything. You haven't got to do anything odd or weird or change your life. They all ask me this. My clients, is it okay if I eat before I come to a session? Or is it okay if I eat afterwards? And I had a glass of wine at lunchtime. Is that okay? Does that spoil the energy? Poor souls. No, it's okay. It really is. Otherworld is not going to get uptight. People may get uptight and say, oh, you've done it all wrong. That's just people, not otherworld. That isn't magic. People aren't. People who tell you things like that are not magic. People who help you go your way, find your way, but they give you the extra tools and the extra otherworldly friends, as my friend, my client, has. That's magic. That's what we do. So she's reinvented her wheel, to go back to the beginning. She didn't used to use any of this stuff, and she was in a bit of a state, and she was working really hard and doing everything she could possibly think of, and it wasn't really working. So she stopped thinking. She stopped thinking as she had been. Overthinking, yes, but she stopped thinking that she was the only person who could give herself any answers. She looked beyond. She looked out into the universe. She looked into the spirit world. And what did she get? A brand new wheel that she's really loving riding. Absolutely is. And she's getting there. She's getting the client she wanted. She's getting the life she wanted. Her own personal relationships have gone whoop. She feels clear. She feels happy. She didn't used to smile too much when she first came to me. Now she's grinning all the time. Always got a smile. And her eyes are clear. And her face looks relaxed. And her shoulders aren't here. They're down here. That's magic. And she's got it. Not by sweating away. Not by straining her brain. But by letting go her need to control and actually asking for help from these spooky, fairy, wild, weird, magical beings. And she's found they're bloody good for business too. You want to reinvent your wheel? Come and chat. grab a call. I'm really pleased to chat to anybody who wants to talk about it. And I've got programs that will help you. There's a webinar next Wednesday about composting. Yeah, composting's actually magic. Yay! Gold from old, my dear friend has called it, and I think that's beautiful. And we're going to talk about it again there, differently. So keep in touch. And I've got a newsletter, so I'll put the link up for you to sign into, and we'll get you there. And I've got a feeling that if you sign up now, you're going to get a bit of a little bit of extra magic that you can do all for yourself at your desk. Haven't even got to get up from your desk to do it. So, bye for now. Here's to reinventing wheels. So, see you next Friday, if not before, and see you on LinkedIn anytime. So, bye. Take care. Have a great weekend.